Good afternoon and welcome to Citizens Live. We come to you a little later from last week because Suresh with us, our guest Suresh had some kind of a medical emergency that he needed to attend to immediately. But we have a very interesting conversation lined up for you today, and it's about the sexual minority community or the LGBTQ community. Now, very honestly, I'm giving you a short form of that. The actual long form of it is LGBTQIAP plus.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a lot of alphabets to remember, and most of us don't want to be bothered with it because it takes too much effort. We go with the colloquial ones that we've used for generations now. The Hijras, chakka, and the Kannada favorite, which is ombattu. But when you're dealing with a community that has been marginalized and is a minority community, these labels and language especially matters when it comes to ending or even addressing the discrimination that they have faced over the years. We have with us Suresh Ramdas, Mr. Gay India 2019.
Right.
A very proud gay man. With us to talk about why it matters, what we address the community as, why the language matters. Now, Suresh, diving straight in, there are so many alphabets. Very honestly, there are so many alphabets. So,
Right.
why is it not okay for me to just say or call you guys the third gender or the other gender or sexual minority, like a blanket term kind of a thing? Why is it that these demarcations are so important to you guys?
Okay. All right. So great. Thank you so much, firstly, for inviting me here. Great
Our pleasure.
opportunity.
Our pleasure.
To answer to your question, let's kind of go back to this. I'll ask you another question. If all South Indians were called Madrasis, how do you find that to be?
No,
We have so
Kannadiga.
many states. We have so many states there. So if everybody addresses South Indians as Madrasis, how do you feel?
Not very good. I am not a Madrasi. I'm a Kannadiga. There's a
Right.
yeah. Okay.
Right.
I get the point. Okay.
So we have a lot of states and cities in South India. We would like to be addressed as that, right? So even LGBTQ community is also like that.
Okay.
Right? So even if you call them sexual minorities, yes, we do have many of them under that umbrella. But we love and we identify ourselves to who we really are. So yes, so if you call them labels or if you give them names associated to it, I think there is a reason for it because we identify to it. Like as a Kannadiga, you would identify yourself to certain things. As a Tamilian, I identify. So even as people from the LGBTQ community, we identify them. So blanket statements are, to address on a high level, but when we have to really look at grassroots conversations, yes, they need to be, called out separately.
If we get it wrong, we are going to get it wrong,
Yes,
right?
Right.
I recently saw a video of, this was of course from America, where a transgender woman had a very, very violent reaction to a shopkeeper who continued to call her sir, despite being told several times that he needed to address her as ma'am.
Right.
It was a very, very violent reaction. She completely lost it. I beg your pardon. Why is it? What is the emotion that you think generates such a visceral reaction? Why do you think that is the case?
Well, see, right from a very young age, we have been asked to be somebody, who we really don't identify with, specifically for the transgender community. They are born a certain way and then they start identifying themselves to be another way. So they fight that internal battle within themselves. And then once they get to know about them, then they have to talk it out to other people, right? Their family, friends and others. That's another battle. And then goes the other battle of society. And then, you see it's always battles, it's always fighting. And they want to reach to a situation where they want to be addressed the way they are. Right, as to who they really understand or who they really are. So if somebody does not appreciate or accept that, then we, as what you said, we do try to let people know, But if they don't, then that's when it kind of does get a little aggressive.
It does get
Yes,
aggressive.
yeah.
Right. I'm going to ask you a very personal question here. What is the what is the one term that was used to you personally? It was something that was so offensive that you carry, the experience still haunts you even today.
Yeah, well, I think the fact, people did use the terminology that you use, chakka and ombattu and all of that. So I think from a very young age, when I really didn't know what it was, to be called something like that, I think that still, it has left a deep scar, which is kind of getting healed slowly and steadily. But it does.
So
take a
language
toll.
becomes very
Yeah.
important because it
Yes.
discriminates.
Yes.
It kind of offends and it looks down upon.
Yes, very
Is
much.
that the reason why you are so insistent that this needs to be set right, or at least
Yeah.
awareness about the language comes into place?
Yeah, even if you don't know about it, it's okay. Even as a person from the community, I mean, even I don't know certain terms, right? But I'm learning. I'm open. So the best way to approach this is to ask people, how would you like to be addressed? So, for example, if I have to ask you, how would you like to be addressed, rather than me assuming that you would like to be addressed a certain way based on how you look. That is not right. So basic courtesy is to ask you, how would you like to be addressed, right? So I think that's what I would let people know, and ask them, like, it's okay to make mistakes, apologize, move forward, ask them, how would you like to be addressed?
Okay, I get your point. But just to throw a curveball here, now Peter Tatchell is a very
Right.
well-known Labour MP from the UK, from the Labour Party, and he's been a very, very vociferous advocate for the LGBTQ rights in his country. And in a recent interview, he said, this alphabet soup, every day there's a new alphabet that keeps getting added to the community, is only serving the purpose of ridiculing the movement itself, which the main aim of this movement is to allow the LGBTQ community to be mainstreamed. Tell people that they are very much part of our society and they deserve to be treated with respect. So here's a man who spent most of his life working for the community and says, this fragmentation is only taking away from the movement. What are your thoughts on that?
Wow, you bring up an example of a person from London. All right.
No, I'm trying to figure out, because the number of phrases or the number of abbreviations that I came across when I was researching as well, it's a lot of it.
Right.
So I definitely would get confused.
Right.
So do you think just this search for having a different identity,
Right.
this fragmentation, this continuous addition, is taking away from it, or do you think it kind of?
No, it's not. To be honest, again, I'd like to take you back to history. That's why I laughed when you said it's a guy from UK, because we know that.
Yes, Thomas Macaulay. Thank you very much. Yes.
But to be going back to history, I think we've been one of the most diverse and inclusive countries in the world. To be starting off, right, from our mythology and our past, our history. We're the land of Kama Sutra as well, right? So
and the Vedas actually refer to the Tritiya Prakriti, which is the third gender.
Yeah.
So we've had this long before anybody even figured it out. Yeah, okay.
And then they went ahead and messed us up for 200 years, and they went back to their country and fixed, right? In India now, I think we're going through that phase of trying to fix. So we're learning, right? So the whole process of understanding, identifying is happening right now. So I think maybe it could be relatable in UK, but in India, I think we are trying to find our own identity here. And then if you say it's fragmented, I don't think so. It's fragmented. We're trying to go find ourselves, and then we're going and fighting the bigger battle, right? So if you say that it's not fragmenting or diluting the issue, I think it's just like drops of water make an ocean. I think we are becoming those identities there and becoming one big ocean where we really want to focus, get people's attention, and work towards it.
So you're basically saying, when we're moving away from the conversation of a binary narrative.
Yes.
So these demarcations become very important. Now I'll take you towards policy a bit.
Okay.
Do you think what are your thoughts on how things can be better in terms of the narrative when it comes to the law? Now there's a transgender bill that was passed in Lok Sabha.
Yeah.
The way it was described. There was a lot of
Right.
critique on that as well. The law, by and large, has been a very binary narrative, and it looked at sexual abuse, gender,
Right.
all of this. There has been some attempt to kind of address this. Do you think it has been sincere enough? And what more can be done to better this?
First and foremost, yes, there was some effort, but sincere efforts, I don't think so, because they didn't get a lot of people from the community involved when they were drafting it out. Right, they did make some changes. First and foremost, it was either male or female, right? So that itself brought the binary. But for the 2018 transgender bill, they said any person who identifies or who does not associate themselves with the way they are born, right? So that was a change, but there were a lot of other, things that need to change really drastically. First and foremost important thing is you need to be in front of a committee to go ahead and get yourself identified to who you want to be identified. I think that's violating the the right to your privacy and right to yourself.
So how do you want
standing
to do this?
in front of.
How do you want to do this? How do you think it should be done?
Accept people for who they are. If they identify themselves to be a gender that is not what they conform themselves as physically, then that's all right. That's absolutely fine. It's not that you need to be, again, it's stereotyping here, right? Or trying to put them in a binary that if you're a man, then you need to have certain, physical appearances and, organs. While if you're a female, you need to have this. So why do you need to have that? That's my whole point.
Biology?
But why? Are you comfortable with it? If tomorrow, if the society decides to say, probably you need to have short hair, that is very good for a woman, but you prefer long hair, how would you feel? And you need to have a committee standing in front of you to identify you're a woman right now. But then for them, it's short hair, which is identified to people. How would you feel? Right? So standing in front of people and addressing that ways, I don't think so that's a right approach to fix any issue. As a person, everybody identifies themselves to be who they are. Bring that onto the table, let's have that discussion. And also the fact that the kind of punishment that is being addressed to the people from the trans community is very, very minimal or low. They will just say, don't do this again, and send them back. I mean, imagine it's harassing and kind of torturing a trans person, and you're just kind of getting them away by probably a warning or
slap on the wrist.
A wrist. That's pretty much it. But that's not it is. But when you do the same thing for somebody else, that's different. But why that's again a demarcation. That's again trying to bifurcate the issue here. I know that the trans community, again, they're kind of calling begging to be a violation, a place where they want to go ahead and call that as an issue, right? But then that's their only livelihood. For now, knowing the current situation, they do not get jobs anywhere in the organizations. They are being looked down upon, even for the basic, work that they want to do. Let it be working in stores or, trying to earn a basic earning living. They're not able to do. So they resort to begging, which now they're calling as a criminal offense.
Correct.
As a crime. Now, if you want to kind of make it as an offense, that's all right, but then are you giving an alternative to them? If that is not that, then you can't just take away their livelihood. And from a very young age, they've been thrown out of their houses, or they've run away from their houses because they were harassed for who they were really not. And now you take away their livelihood. I think give alternates, don't call it a law and make it black and white, where this is used as harassment. And it's going to be used more so against the trans community. So which I think needs to be addressed. Bring in the people from the community, identify, talk to them, understand, rather than you make an assumption or a perception and then the law is made. That is the whole idea.
Include the community to when you're framing the law, so you get the language right.
Yes, exactly.
Which is what we're talking about. The language needs to be very right on this. Um, Suresh, you come from a very traditional Tamilian family. So when you did come out to your
Yeah.
family, uh, since we're talking about the language here, was it easy for your family to accept you, or was there any kind of episode that you remember which, I mean, words hurt more than sticks and stones,
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
do you remember any of that?
Well, for me, when I came out, I think it was a whole different process, which I think my parents are still going through that process. Even though it's been 4 years that I've come out to them, they are going through a journey of understanding. You know, it's confusing and it's frustrating and all of that. Because for me, I truly understand what they're going through. Because I went through that for 25 years of being confused, not sure who I am, you know, why am I like this? Why am I not being like, you know, the stereotype boy and all of that? But when I figured out myself and identified, you know, I had to come out to my parents. That was very important, to be my authentic self. But at the same time, when I came out to my parents, I did not expect them to accept it immediately. You know, like say for example, I just told, hey dad, you know what, I'm gay, and my dad comes and hugs me. I did not. It would have been an awesome
It doesn't happen always.
it doesn't happen all the time, but there's always that burning desire that your parents will accept you, but they did not. And for me it was a learning. Right, because they are coming from a background, a culture, a society where they are formed, lived in for the last 60 years, 65 plus years. Now to bring that change is going to be difficult.
Was that language harsh?
Yeah,
It was.
yeah, it was. But then I kind of knew that I had to walk this. There's no two ways, because I love my parents and I know my parents love me. They're more concerned about what my son is going to do in the society, or how the society is going to react, right? So they were more concerned about that. As a parent, you want your kids or your babies to be very protected, and they did that, and they want to still continue to do that. So they're always trying to understand, and I'm saying, no, I want to go fight the world. They are worried. They're like, go fight, but at the same time, make sure that you're not hurt. Can I protect you? So they're more worried about that as to what the society is going to say. And the fact is, what is going to happen to me after they are gone? Because for them, they always believe that only a woman can fulfill or make a man complete. Because
Right.
that's how they have been brought up. Now I'm trying to break that. And I think my parents are doing an amazing job. Though they are not completely convinced or, you know, happy about who I am, but they are supportive in the work that I'm doing. I mean, being out at work, doing work for the community, and again representing India at this event, Mr. Gay India, and you know, going out to the world and telling that I am gay is, and my parents are concerned, but at the same time, they are letting me be who I am.
And it's been a journey for them too.
It is still a journey for
It's
them.
still a journey to them.
Yes,
yeah.
they are still going through that process. Even if it takes 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years, I've assured them and I told them that, you know, as a son, I'm going to be there no matter what, and I'm going to walk you all through this journey. I know it's going to be a difficult journey for both of us, because it pains to see my parents at times breaking down or crying, you know, for who I am, but I want to make them proud. I know my parents are proud in some way, because the picture that I posted on Facebook with my medals and with my trophies, I know they were happy. They were like, oh my god, Suresh has done amazing, he represented India, but for what things? Something that we are really not sure of, or something that we
Not sure of. But how long did it take for them, for the language that, you know, your family was kind of, you said the language was very harsh initially when you first came out.
Right.
How long did that take to change to a more softer, more accepting?
Well, it does still erupt once in a while. I think it's because of frustration, right? Which is I think okay. I've gone into a mode that, you know what, you're my, you know, dad, you're my mom. I do understand the frustration that you're going through, so I take it in. But it has toned down.
It has toned down.
Definitely it has toned down, because being their son, if my dad is stubborn, I'm even more stubborn.
Yeah, we all
Right?
come from the same cloth.
Same
Yes.
thing. So the fact is that I put my foot down on certain things, and they are beginning to realize that as well. Right? The same to do even when I spoke to them about my boyfriend. They were completely not happy about it. But then when I put my foot down saying that he is important, he is an important person in my life, I think you need to respect that and, understand that. They are trying to understand that. It is a journey for them.
So you'd give them the marks for trying at least.
Yeah, it is a first step for them. At the age of 60, I mean, imagine me at the age of 37, to bring a change, I need to work really hard.
So
and
at
imagine
60,
at 60, it's difficult, right? So even one baby step from their side is, I think, 10 leaps in, for my age. So I think it is a journey for them, and I'm really, really appreciative for what they are.
My last question, Suresh, is what is the one message you'd like to leave this interview with? Telling people about, come on, don't talk to us like that. It's a very basic thing,
Right.
Please don't talk to us like that. So if you had to tell the people about it, what would you want to tell them?
I like this phrase, live and let live. I know everybody wants to live the way they want to with the society norms and all. That's fine, but then there are people who don't want to as well. So let them be who they want to be.
And if you
Right.
don't get it, also it's fine.
It's fine. Ask.
Ask.
If you don't want to be a part of it, that's okay. Right? Agree to disagree. There are so many phrases that are running in my head right now. Agree to disagree. But it's a human life. It's one life. Can you live it all? And it's nothing is black and white now. There are shades of gray, and there are multiple shades of gray. So identify that and then move on.
So can you just expand the alphabet and explain to us what each one means, please?
All right, so it's LGBTQIA+, right?
Okay.
So L is lesbian, LG gay, B bisexual, T transgender, Q is queer, I is for intersex people, A is for asexual, but now, we also have it for the allies, because they are one of the biggest supporters and strong supporters for us. So A for allies, and plus is to go ahead and include everybody else under the umbrella, right? That is one way of looking at it. But we also want to be inclusive of the HIV positive people as well,
Okay.
right? So LGBTQIA+. There are a lot of other words and alphabets which kind of resemble or mean a lot of other things, but I think plus can just get everybody under the umbrella. But these are some of the ones that have been running right from first.
Right. What's the difference between transgender and queer?
There is a lot of difference.
Can you explain that a bit?
Right. So again, transgender people are the one. I mean, they are born with a body that they don't identify with, right? So you have trans women and trans men. So men, they're born men, right? But they identify to be a woman, and when they transition, that whole process they call as trans women.
Okay.
Right. So transitioning from man to woman, and trans men are, or people who are born as women, but they don't identify themselves to be as a woman, but they want to be a man, and they transition through the whole process, or they identify themselves to be men, trans men. Queer people, again, they identify themselves to be non-binary. Also, that's another term, and they don't like called to be lesbian or gay, bisexual.
So gender
it's a label.
non-conforming?
Yeah, you can call
Gender
them that as well. Queer.
Intersex would be
So people who have, the chromosomes, genitalia of both men and women.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's like 1 in 2,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
Who are from the intersex community. Yeah.
right. And asexual. Of course, you now say that A stands for allies as well.
Yes.
What about asexual? how do we understand them?
They're not sexually active. That's not something that they talk about.
Okay.
Right? So then you have, so that's again a different, in terms of how sexual you are. Say asexuals are people who are romantically involved but not physically.
Okay.
Right? So they're sexually very, I would say dominant or not active. Yeah.
And what are the words that people should absolutely not use to, address the community?
You said that at the start, like terms like chakka and ombattu and all of that is very derogatory, right? It comes from a very black area of one's mind, which is started off and now it's to put people down. And words, as what you said, words really hurt more than physical violence. So that itself kind of it takes years to heal, which I'm still going through. It's a process, but I think I'm getting much better now.
Right. So there you have it. We've kind of gone into some of the details. It's a lot more nuanced, the conversation. So it would help if we start